every like couple of years, you have to just buy new pads and put them on.
Yeah, see these Razer ones, like this is just a $40 headset. So when it's dead, it's not worth replacing the foam. It's just getting a new one.
Yeah, I'm actually testing some new in-ears today from undisclosed company because they emailed me about wanting to send me product and stuff, and I told them I don't really have good integrations with brand deals and stuff because of the type of content I do in my TikTok stuff. And they're like, we just want to send it to you anyway because we know you're gonna love it. So we're gonna find out.
Rod, we should probably start the intro because we've been bullshitting for like a minute and a half. Welcome to Cyclops is Waiting for Me, an X-Men animated recap podcast with Wolverine the X-Men, episode number 13, Battle Lines. Rod just decided to start recording in the middle of us talking, which is always fun because then I look up at the screen, I see the little red dot. I am JC, and due to some scheduling challenges, as well as when we had Lenore as the guest in our podcast, I forgot to mention I was recently a guest on the Delulu Canoe podcast with Dare Taylor, which was awesome because I basically got to talk about getting into comic books and my whole fandom around the X-Men. And check it out. I'll throw the link in the description for this one. It was amazing talking with somebody about the X-Men who basically had no preconceived notions or knowledge about it. So it was a very pure slate conversation, which was really fun. So
interesting. Okay. Yeah. They're a great podcast. We did something with them with 2 comic book days ago, right? Because they were another live podcast. Not with them, but we were on the same slate. They had Delulu Canoe did a live thing.
At the Free Comic Book Day. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Day, I remember like seeing them, and you already knew them, but I knew some of the people in the podcast, but I hadn't seen their podcast. I was like, "This is a great name."
Yep.
Anyway, and I'm Rod, and I am road testing some potential like sponsored IEMs. We're gonna find out how that goes.
I noticed that you haven't like done a full test on them yet, so you don't want to say the name just in case right now.
Oh yeah, because so far it's not going great, but at the same time, for anybody who's not familiar, IEMs are usually something you use like when you're in live audio, you know. So I'm normally right here, like in my home studio and stuff. So it's not the best application, but also I'm retired from touring, so there's not going to be a further test of that. But I figure like stuff like this is a good like road test of like kind of monitoring everything. But so far the physical quality of them are great. I'm kind of trying to figure out what the audio is kind of feeling
which kind of feels like the most important part to me for headphones, but yeah.
Anyway, Cyclops is Waiting for Me is our bi-weekly podcast series where we're going back and watching every single X-Men animated episode we can find. The podcast started with the original 1992 X-Men animated series, building up to the release of X-Men 97. Along the way, we've completed X-Men Evolution and launched our companion interview show, the Xavier Files. And now that we have it confirmed that Season 2 of the X-Men 97 will be dropping in 2026, we're dedicating this year to all of Wolverine and the X-Men.
We got 2 still to record tonight, so this is going to be a long one. Some quick reminders. We're a recap show about a series that started over 15 years ago. There are going to be spoilers, and if you don't want it spoiled for you, this is your warning. Pause the podcast, watch the episode, come back. We're not currently sponsored or affiliated with Marvel Animation, Disney, or Disney Plus in any way.
Would it be funny if I was like, oh, these are from Disney?
All of a sudden, there's just the mouse ears popping out the side that I didn't notice. You know?
And because I said something slightly negative, you just see like a red dot.
They do own the rights to the Predator, so it would be 3 red dots.
Yeah. It'd be a little mouse head.
Yep. Oh my God. The fact that hasn't happened, and they did recently just launch a Predator versus Amazing Spider-Man comic. Oh, now really? I just want to see the mouse ears as the the targeting. Yep.
Any YouTubers out there that still do sketches? There you go.
Anyway. Warp Zone.
Warp Zone. Yeah.
And that's it.
Unless they have a current contract with Disney, then don't.
Nope.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Cyclops IWFM Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook. And at the time of recording, TikTok is still here. Although we are going to find out from the recording, you guys will know before us listening, because this is going on in a couple of weeks. So as of recording,
like 10 days. Yeah.
As of recording, we have a few more days before the next like deadline that is probably going to get extended, but who knows?
Yep. Real quick, before we get into the show, I do want to shout out our team or our fans who left some comments. I messed up when I was talking about a voice actor. Liam O'Brien from Critical Role does not voice Magneto. Liam voices Nightcrawler. And I said that in our first episode, and then I proceeded to mess it up in one of our more recent episodes. It is Tom Kane, who is the voice actor for Magneto. Gotcha. Yes, correct us if we do stuff wrong. I am man enough to admit when I screwed up, especially when it's something super factual that I can't argue against.
Yeah, and feel free to correct me because everything I know is anecdotal and from a very old memory.
And speaking of the Warp Zone, I do just want to shout this out really quick. At time of upload, the embargo has lifted. I got to see live gameplay of Marvel Cosmic. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Marvel Cosmic Invasion when I was at Summer Games Fest. Nice. I'll make sure we post something to the Instagram. It plays in a positive way so much like TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which I played on Extra Life a couple years ago, where I think I literally just played start to finish in like 3 hours or something like that during the live stream. For those of you who don't know, I do Extra Life, which is our charity stream. All the proceeds go to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. And if you donate $50, I'll throw the link in the description. I have to stop whatever I am doing unless I am working or driving. Those are the limitations. But I would even do it on a future recording of this podcast if the timing worked out. I have to chug a Smirnoff Ice, and for some reason, a couple of weeks ago, 7 of my friends decided to like wake me up with these. So I was literally waking up. I didn't know you
kept that going through the whole year.
Yeah, it can be donated at any time.
There you go.
Yeah. So there's no worse feeling than waking up knowing at some point in the day you're going to have to chug a Smirnoff Ice.
Whenever you do the Extra Life stuff with the ice thing, it informs me that Smirnoff Ice is still around. Because I feel like I literally just don't see it. I'm just unaware that it's still around. It's
not just still around. They've changed the formula, and it's worse.
Oh, how? I guess capitalism. But I was trying to...
It's now like the worst version of Sprite combined with Mike's Hard Lemonade. It is... Like, it's just drinking acid at this point.
So. I was going to say, like, I only liked Mike's when I was in my 20s. Like...
Yeah, I only liked Mike's when it was illegal for me to be drinking Mike's.
Right. So. I was like when I was a teenager, we like bury beer in the cornfields, because we was sneaking from our parents. But obviously that skunks it, and probably worse.
Yeah, that's some fucking farm shit, Rod.
Yeah.
But now on to the show. Today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 13, titled Battle Lines, aired on June 19th, 2009. Currently sits on there we go, 8.2 star rating on IMDb. It is tied as the second highest rated episode of the entire series.
I'm trying to think if I agree with that or not. Maybe I like this episode.
I really like this episode, and just for sake of saying it, there are a few moments in the show that are resembling current events that are happening in LA. We're not going to get into it. If you know, but it would be foolish of us not to at least acknowledge there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say correlation, but there's a little bit of a vibe match on the two things right now.
Yeah, definitely parallel.
Parallel, there we go. Yeah.
Yep.
So episode starts off where we had a previously on. We see moments from the time bomb episode, and then we also see more of that nearly impossible ask that Pietro was talking to Magneto about and Rogue overseeing on it.
And they didn't explain the hole in the wall. That was my greatest frustration.
I still don't understand the hole in the wall.
Because we see it later. She just walks in the room anyway.
Yeah. So. Yeah, security is not an issue in this place. So episode itself actually begins with the MRD facility, and we see a scientist, Dr. Peterson. As far as I could tell, Dr. Peterson is not somebody from other X-Men lore. That's just the generic person. And he specifically wants to go down to Omega level. And Rod instantly was telling me before this started where he thought that was leading.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be an Omega Red episode, which was like kind of extra correlation because like we just said some current events kind of parallel, and the time that we actually did talk about Omega Red was like very similar situation. We're like, holy crap, like it didn't end up going that way, but like I guess just once again for anybody that's just joining us like in this era for some reason, I only really know about I didn't grow up with the comic books, so it was mostly the original cartoon show, the 92 series of X-Men, and like whatever action figures there were like in the late 90s as a kid. So when I see the Omega symbol and like a high like security detention center, I'm just like, oh, Omega Red.
Was not accurate, but yes, that is it's also a fair thing to think about, because this was also the era where Omega as a designation was only really just getting like started. It's not like it is now where it's like very much prominent in the language to it, but that was a thing that was just kind of like establishing the power levels and such.
And I think I only found out about Omega level mutants through like you and other friends that are in like the comic verse stuff in the last like few years and stuff. Or maybe I say few years, that's a minus lockdown years, so probably more like 7 or 8 years.
Yes.
Like talking about it and stuff. It's like, oh, that makes sense. And I was really happy to find out Storm was one of them. So
yes. So the Doctor is looking to go downstairs. A very dumb soldier doesn't realize right off the bat that it's like, why wouldn't this Doctor know he doesn't have access to go down here? And it's, only Colonel Moss and Dr. Rao could get down there. And then it like clicks with him, but it's like, wow, they just such a negative depiction of the Jarhead,
Yeah. Especially the like, yeah, only so and so. It's like, okay, guy.
So at that point, everybody knows it's Mystique. Mystique turns into Moss and then makes her way down into the elevator. And then I'm assuming the answer to this is no, but did you ever hear of Dr. Rao before?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
So Rao, most prominent storyline that I was familiar with Rao was Astonishing X-Men #1 from that Whedon Cassidy run that happened in the early 2000s.
Okay.
They were actually like the main scientists in that storyline, I believe. So
okay.
If you've ever watched the Astonishing X-Men motion comic, that's the story you would have seen her, if anything. So
okay. Yeah, I was kind of not confused, but I was like kind of surprised to see like her in or anybody in there, because like as far as the story goes, it wasn't super necessary. I know she like lifts the pod out of the ground or whatever, but I was actually just more surprised like how like kind of violent they got in relation to how like this cartoon normally or this animation normally gets, because it kind of like it's off camera, but kind of implies that like he like hit her or choked her out or something.
So real quick, he has her raise up the chamber. She doesn't realize who it is. And did you also notice on the screen like the red spiky monster that was on there in the background?
Oh, I think I just assumed it was like generic,
right?
Or whatever. Because in the past we've seen like IKEA orders or whatever we said it was on the before. So I didn't. I noticed something, but I didn't realize it was important until like later.
Yeah, and she raises up. Moss says to open it. She's like, "Well, it's literally designed so that nobody could open it," and that's where she realizes something's up. And he smashes her head against the keyboard, and then I got the impression he just like cold cocked her across the face, like full on like left hook, Yeah,
because you see the glasses fly off and then she lands on the ground. It's like, that was strangely violent for this show.
There are 2 moments in this episode in particular that are super violent towards women.
Because like, normally it's like kind of comedic, like the tranq dart that like shoots her across the room or something, But this was like visceral, like kind of real, like realistic.
He's able, or she is able to take a look at the inside. You see the reveal that it is Mystique, and she goes out to Magneto and is like, "We have a problem." And you see just this generic woman inside the holding cell. So
yeah, I had no idea what was going on at that point because I'm not familiar with this character at all.
That's our cold open. We move into the animated intro, which I actually watched again today. Just to see if anything stood out to me. What does stand out to me is you have a presence for Angel and a presence for Nightcrawler on it, despite the fact that like compared to all the other characters, they are barely in the series, at least from like a prominence perspective. So
yeah, Nightcrawler's not in this one at all, right? Yeah,
he hasn't been in since he got captured in Genosha.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
by Mystique. So Quicksilver is, asking Magneto why he's doubting him. Magneto really quickly throws the whole Nitro incident into his face and is essentially like, no more mishaps. And Quicksilver knows that the Brotherhood is a punishment for him. Are they just kind of like viewed as Magneto as like the merry band of fuck-ups kind of scenario?
Yeah. Rogue's just there.
Yeah.
Overhearing. She doesn't have to be in the whole hole across the room anymore.
In her pseudo evolution like outfit too, kind of.
Oh yeah.
And she wants to know the plan. Quicksilver is basically like, you better not spy on me again or we're gonna have a problem. And the fastest man alive doesn't think to run away from her, and she just does like the quick absorption, and then she realizes that he's going after the X-Men.
I had to remember after the episode was over that this is an X-Men that had already like been the X-Men for a good amount of time. Mm-hmm. Because like I think just because we came off of Evolution, I'm just used to like amateur Rogue. Mm-hmm. So this is a Rogue that's like, I would even say like more in control than 92 Rogue.
Yeah, because, I could totally see that.
Because she doesn't like flinch or anything, and then we'll see a couple more times. She's able to control her powers better than the people she takes them from. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, and just pretty unaffected. And I didn't grasp right at the beginning that she had taken his memories.
Right.
Because she's like, oh yeah. I was like, wait, what happened? Oh, okay, yeah. That's what happened. Because then Domino immediately recognized what happened.
Yeah, because Domino comes up as Rogue is walking out, sees Quicksilver on the floor, and just straight up goes into defense mode. And I do kind of wish that Rogue had taken her memories, unless Domino had something planned to like have it backfire on her or something like that, and maybe that's why Rogue didn't do it. But Domino was willingly being like, yeah, take my memory.
Also, I would willingly take luck.
Yeah, right. It's a pretty damn good power to take.
It's not like an uncontrollable like eye blast, or anything like that. It's good luck.
Yeah. Rogue doesn't take that opportunity and then runs off. Because she still has Quicksilver's powers, so she gets to the mansion very quickly, apparently.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing, is Domino kind of reveals to us that Rogue found out is that the X-Men are going to be detained as part of, like, or taken by or attacked or whatever by the Brotherhood.
Right, because it's not because of malice towards the X-Men, it's very specifically that they just are going to get in the way, so they have to stop them from getting in the way of what this larger plan is. And then we see the worst flirting in history between Bobby and Kitty.
It tracks though for like high schoolers, right? Mm-hmm. And I love her response. When Bobby's like, "Yeah, you want to get food sometime?" She's like, "We're eating food right now." Dude, you can go see a movie or something, anything.
Yep, not what you're literally doing right then and there. And like, do you think she knew he was hitting on her, or she was just being snarky back, or do you think she's like oblivious to the fact that he actually likes her? So it's hard to tell because of the snark in this one, I feel like.
I don't know from like what they're intending from experience, because I was always the guy like growing up that like my friends' girlfriends would talk to. Mm-hmm. And so from that experience, she knew and was just not interested. Mm-hmm. Or if she was a little bit interested, was like, I need him to be like 2 IQ points smarter. And then and then we can go out.
Yeah. 2 IQ points isn't that hard,
Right. It's like, I just need him to know that he's eating food right now.
Yes. So Rogue arrives and also changed her clothes during the process, because now she's in her X-Men gear.
Yeah, she's fast, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she got unchanged and changed in the time she was running out of the Brotherhood.
My favorite observation that I wrote a note about in this scene was, Kitty and Bobby eat, he asks her out on a date. Rogue interrupts. Wolverine is the teleporter now.
Yeah, because it's, I need to talk to Logan. I'm right here.
Yeah, I was like, when did you get here? No one heard him. And he wasn't even by the door either. Because Rogue
he was like leaning by like the fridge or something like that. He's sneaky, man. He used to be a ninja.
I guess.
Yeah. So they have a whole little back and forth of like, you're not welcome. And, they're planning an attack that night. And, basically he just doesn't buy it as he throws her into a cell. But as they're leaving the kitchen, Bobby's like, but can we get dinner that time?
Right. Once again, keeps tracking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to Logan and the X-Men's credit, the show, I didn't really grasp either that Rogue had gotten something from Toad.
Me at all, dude. That was such a good plant. Like, I totally didn't pick up on that either.
Yeah, so that was, I was like, oh, you were meant to be a double, you purposely meant to be a double agent and stuff. And I guess that goes back to what you asked, either the last episode or the episode before, about like why there's this back and forth distrust between her and Wolverine.
Right, which we haven't still gotten that resolution, but now it's like, okay, now I understand her having a plan as opposed to it feeling like it was random, like her just joining after almost being mugged by them,
Yeah, and that's why she didn't. Because Wolverine even asked, like, why you should have, involved us, and she's like, I don't really know if I could trust you. Mm-hmm. So they covered their grounds in previous episodes with this.
Yeah, I love a throwback to like a seemingly innocuous moment that ended up having a solid payoff.
Yeah, good serial drama.
Exactly. But she's locked in the cell, and he's like, well, let's see how accurate this is. So, Jumping over, we see Sybil, whose name I finally was able to remember. I was very proud of that when I was talking to Rod before we started recording, who is talking with Senator Kelly, and basically they have, like, I'm assuming those are polls or something like that of what is the public response to the MRD raids that are happening.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have very little notes for that section.
Yes. But there's also...
positive side note, though. Look at little Princess Lucy's legs here. She's posing like a French girl for everybody. You're on the video version.
Yeah. That's honestly the main reason why to watch the video version is the cat.
Yeah. She's so cute right now.
She's zonked out right now, too. But Sybil also mentions that congressional support for what they're doing is beginning to wane, and then Blink and Magneto teleport into the room.
Oh, that was Blink. Okay.
Yep. Purple and green with little shiny pink things is Blink.
So this is another thing that's kind of messed up about my introduction to characters. I probably saw Blink before, but I'm mostly familiar with Blink from the TV show where that one girl played her. So it was like a more like Fox TV,
gifted,
like
right?
Mute color kind of vibe.
So any other time you might have seen Blink, she almost always has either short hair, or like honestly like my length hair, or it's like in a ponytail. It's usually not like it kind of gave me vibes of the Misfits from Gem and the Holograms. Like it was like rocker hair or rocker chick hair. So
I was surprised. I didn't know that power set was like throwing the teleporting thing. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, the little crystals are what creates the teleportation stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah. So Sybil is about to call for help, and she just gets blinked into the middle of an intersection.
Just wild. They never come back to that either, so
yeah,
we don't know what happens.
Yeah, I mean, she had some close calls, although I will say that was where one of the animation mistakes happened, because at one point it's really, really clear that she is like in the center of the two lanes, and then they do a pullback, and when they do that, she's only in between two lanes that are going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a subtle thing. Which it's animation.
It's like two different teams did the different sides of the cut.
Yeah. Or whoever just did the background just didn't center it to give them enough wiggle room kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we find out a shit ton more about this whole relationship between Kelly and Magneto, which, again, if this is your first episode for whatever reason after that atrocious intro that we did, and you've made it this far, we've never watched this show before. So this whole reveal was totally caught me off guard. So
yeah, it was interesting and pretty par for the course. I just finished watching The Penguin, so I'm kind of in this like mafia mob story.
Also, anybody who hasn't, watch The Penguin. It's fucking good. It's so good.
I had no idea. It took a little bit to get into. I will say, like, I think episode 4 was like, dang. but then holy crap. And side note, I know this is not popular opinion, but it's just mine. Don't speak for anybody else. I think the Penguin show was better than the movie The Batman.
I agree with you on it. I enjoyed it way more.
Mostly because the parts where the Batman was like, were the darkest and grittiest ever. I feel like they never quite went there. And the Penguin, oh my God, went there on several occasions. Anyway, in this one, it was interesting to see that kind of like mafia deal going on.
Also had Clancy Brown in it, like this showed us.
Oh, really?
Because remember, Clancy was the mob. Is it Falcone?
Oh, is that who that? Okay.
Yeah. And then he's the voice of Sinister in this. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't put that together. There you go. See, there is a connection. It wasn't completely for me. But yeah, I like the kind of the mafia dealings going on where it's like, oh, so the reason Genosha is able to exist is because Senator Kelly has kind of arranged this like weird like mob like, not even truce, like exchange.
It's a people trade going on. But then it's like, well, remember how when we talked about the dash and drop from a few episodes ago, where Kitty yelled, "Don't give them to Magneto." That's what they were actually fucking doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't put that together.
It was like, oh, that line, which stood out to me, had a legit payoff, and I was like, holy shit! Like, props to the writing team on this. And like, I'm sad there was like network drama that related to this show not going further. Because it's really well fucking written, man.
It does seem like they had the whole season laid out beforehand to have all this stuff, But I also love how here Senator Kelly really believes he's more powerful than Magneto, which is a bold place to be, especially when it's just you and him and his people. Like, Senator Kelly has nobody there with him. Yeah,
like, Magneto could have killed him very easily if he wanted to in that moment. There's nothing Kelly could have done for that.
Or worse. Like, I feel like a lot of times we see Magneto, he figures out something like worse for the person, like reputation wise, or like, we saw it in 97. Like fly these people up into space. Yeah. Give them a long speech or something or whatever. Like,
yeah. But the reveal is that Magneto knows that there are mutants that are more powerful that Kelly's not giving them, and Kelly's like, well, yeah, I'm not going to give you the equivalent of atomic bombs.
Which could arguably be like, kind of parallel to like just evergreen issues internationally of, WMDs and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then they say, all right, cool. Let's see how this goes for you because we've already started. And then we get 3 different MRD locations with first one in the Midwest had Pyro and Senyaka, the guy with the whip. And then you had Gamma in the Northwest, which had Mercury and Seamus, who we've seen before. And then, Rod, I will buy you a bottle of whatever liquor if you know the name of that character who is in the South Delta location.
I don't think I remember what they look like.
It was 3 of them who merged into a bigger one.
Oh, no. Okay, so that was the thing. I thought it was weird because I was like, I thought we already saw Multiple Man.
Which is not Multiple Man.
It's not Multiple Man. Nope. And then when they combined to make a giant, it was like, I don't think I've ever seen that character before or any that power set ever before myself.
So, 3 characters, Sven, Eric, and Harlan Kleinrock, which I knew I was safe to not have to buy you the bottle of liquor. Who were all most notably seen in like the iterations of the Acolytes. We've talked about the Acolytes a bunch from like, that 90s run of the comics and stuff like that. So I bluntly had to look that one up myself. I definitely didn't know the name of that character.
Okay, so we haven't seen a version of them in
anything we've watched before. No.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, for anybody watching the video, Lucy's adjusting again. Hey there. Here you go.
Oh, now she's posed like a cat and, Nope. But yeah, 3 different attacks going on, and I'm assuming they just ran out of mutants to use for it because we only see 3 of what we find out later are 12 different attacks that take place.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like this sequence was cool too because it reminds me of like The Watchmen. Remember when what's his face is like, "Oh, please, I'm not some cartoon villain."
Yeah, this happened 27 minutes ago. I could be wrong about the 27 minutes, but
it was like a half an hour or something like that.
Yeah, it was an odd number. I do remember that.
Oh, okay.
It was definitely not an even number.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which also, if you haven't watched it yet, the animated version of of the Watchmen. They did it as a 2-part movie for DC Animation. Really well done.
I don't think I've seen that. I mean, I've been.
It came out like in the last 12 months, basically both episodes of it. Yeah,
I haven't seen that. I mean, is that on Max?
Probably.
Or HBO or whatever they're calling themselves now.
Yeah.
I want to watch that and the TV show.
I love the TV show. The animation is a 1-to-1 to the comic. So
Nice.
no. And then we see all of the Brotherhood arrive at the mansion, and it was basically, we're going to kill people, but we can't say that phrase.
Yeah, it's
Because
the laser
even the way
gun.
he started saying it, because he's like, we don't leave anybody standing. And it was like,
Ooh,
yeah,
didn't
it was,
notice that.
yeah, it very much was like, we don't leave anybody alive, but, you know, whether they proactively changed it or censor changed it,
Yeah.
that was the vibe of it, though. It was like, we want to say kill, but we're not going to. So,
Yeah.
I believe that was the cut to commercial. Coming back, Rogue is in there with Emma. Emma doesn't say anything to Rogue, and Rogue is like, read my mind. You'll know it's the truth. Emma walks out casually to Wolverine, and he's like, well, what'd you get? And she basically is like, her brain is more fucked up than yours.
Yeah. It was a patchwork of everyone she's ever
Yep.
like absorbed, which is interesting. Kind of makes you wonder if this version of Rogue like has like the permanency that we haven't really, we only really saw with Carol Danvers,
Yeah.
or something, or if it's always been that way. No one like no other telepath has like addressed it that way that I've seen in like a show for Rogue's mind. It's interesting.
I want to say it was during Utopia, but I could be wrong at the timing for it. In the comics, there is at least one issue that is dedicated to like all these minds, and I think they even treat them like souls that are like stuck with inside of Rogue. That was probably before I moved to Los Angeles, so it's like at least a 12-year-old comic at this point. I can't remember the specifics, but I remember that being a premise, and it was solid.
I think I said this a few episodes ago, but it's interesting that they like actually do address it here. Is like mutants like Emma, they would have to nerf somehow, and I think there's a really clever way to do that, because she could just be kind of a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Not MacGuffin. Whatever. Yeah, like it would have been. This would have like. It's like
She's too much of a nuclear powerhouse kind of scenario.
Or like this is like having a cell phone in Home Alone or something. Like it was just like, oh, cut the credits.
Yeah, exactly. Wolverine says to mask up, or pulls his mask up, and then he starts doubting himself because he's like, Rogue knew how we would react and still came here regardless.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what it was. It was mask up. She came anyway, and I didn't remember the context on it. That's
gotcha.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, she wouldn't have just come here just to get captured. But then he goes into like a living room, and it's funny that they kind of group Cyclops with the kids, right? Because like Beast, Storm, and like and Emma,
you get the adults, and then Scott's
Cyclops
kind of being petulant, so he's one of the kids. Yeah.
So like they walk in, like, why aren't you guys suited up? We're like, oh, we're actually going after her. And he's like, doesn't matter. I told you to suit up.
And then we get the other violent moment of the episode, because Emma comes in, is like, well, we don't have to go after them. They're already here. Pietro comes in, and I know I've described this on a recent episode, so apologies. Yes, this is redundant, but it's so fucking appropriate. In Marvel Rivals, Emma does this to people, but it happens here to her, where the just like grab and the throw against a wall is so visceral and violent. And I was like, he broke her nose. Like, there's no way she did. That was the instant thing that came to my mind, is like, he definitely broke her nose. She just went face first into a pillar.
Yeah, my note was like Quicksilver kills Emma, because I knew she survives because of this show, or whatever.
Of course.
But it's like, because she survives, I'm like, oh, okay. So we are. I think I asked this a couple episodes ago. Like, we are in a universe where like having a mutant ability just makes you just stronger and more durable. Like, it's that version. I do think it's funny that she does say the thing you said. She was like, "You broke my nose." I was like,
No.
okay, so that's the power level, I guess.
But I also like the fact that they come into this with a plan. Like, this is not aside from Toad, who's basically not in this episode, other than the flashback, the Brotherhood is like, no, we're doing this in a particular fashion. Number one, take out the telepath. Like, I actually like that he called that out. It's like, oh, this is like, it's not really a fuck up version of Quicksilver,
Yeah. So I guess she can't like disseminate their plan or whatever.
Or at the very least, can't just start shutting down their minds like she was doing with the Madrox clones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then big fight happens.
Yeah.
Yep. My favorite thing to write down is just fight. I did love the animation with Domino shooting at Storm, and Storm is like using the weather to deflect the bullets. And then she literally just does like a quick side shot and shoots the glasses off of his face.
Yeah.
Sorry. And that is where Toad is, because Toad like blasts the slime up to the ceiling. And
then my note there was, then Cyclops kills Toad.
Yes.
So I was like, he's not somebody I like. So everyone's durable, because he's not someone I would be like, oh, he's also durable.
Mm-hmm.
But
if anything, he's like Gumby. So right. Maybe it's okay. like I would always joke with when it comes to wrestling that for decades Jeff Hardy is like Gumby, because the dude takes falls that should like kill a normal human, and he just kind of bounces when they happen. So maybe Toad is like Jeff Hardy.
Is it kind of pliable?
Yeah.
Wait, so does Jeff Hardy have like pliable bones or something?
I don't know, man, but for the amount of falls that I've seen Jeff take and not die, there's got to be something special there.
So, funny story, one of my old housemates back in Delaware, shout out Amanda if you're listening for some reason.
For some reason.
She has, well, it's just because I haven't talked to her in a while.
Of course.
I don't know if she,
yeah.
But she has this funny story she would tell us all the time, like when she was younger. She got trampled on by a horse.
Oh.
None of her bones broke.
That so shouldn't happen.
She has been written, and it was such an anomaly, she has been written about in medical journals. So she may actually be a mutant. Amanda might actually be a mutant.
She's an early version of a mutant then, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a bunch of back and forth going on, and at one point, Blob looks like he's going to throw a cannon, or going to cannonball himself onto Logan, and proceeds to go through multiple floors of the mansion, ends up knocking himself out on the landing when they go through the floors and hit Rogue's cell.
Yeah, ends up breaking Rogue out.
Mm-hmm. And I just kind of love he doesn't want to say it, and he does that like very talk around way of doing it, of like, there might, and I only mean there might, like he just can't say I was wrong to her.
Yeah.
But he's like, I might owe you an apology. And for a second, I was worried that they were going to show her body change when she took over Blob, because they've established in the comics, and the comic that it happened in came out before this show, that part of his weight and density is the physical size, not just solely the strength. Yeah. Because when he lost his powers in House of M and Decimation, he literally just like became a skin flab suit thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was gross. Yeah. It's a really terrifying image, and I do not suggest you look it up. I'm going to post it on the Instagram.
I like how this part too, I think it was interesting that there was kind of like a unseen fastball special.
Yes, same.
Right? Like
I literally wrote Power Absorb and Fastball Special.
But we only saw the back half.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see the toss. We just saw him come through the floor.
Yep. And then everybody surrounds Domino.
She's the only one left?
Yeah,
she was in this fight.
She was the only one who was still standing at that point.
She's lucky, and Rogue didn't take her powers.
But Wolverine gives the best line. It's like, nobody's that lucky. I did like this version of Kitty, though, too, because there was that quick moment where Quicksilver is charging Kitty, and she literally did the phase at the perfect time that he just knocks himself out.
Well, didn't Logan yell at her? Like, phase?
He did. Yeah, she had the warning, but she did it right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine, like, the boys' version of that? Where he warns her, but she doesn't time it right. So, like, if a person gets stuck in her or something.
I mean, it literally looks like the first episode of The Boys with Yui's girlfriend.
True. Yeah,
that's literally what would have happened.
Once again, I know you don't like him. I like this version of Forge more and more. Because I was like, hey, guys.
Hey, guys, check out what's happening. But I do appreciate Kitty, like, if they could have sworn that was the what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
Because Kitty's like, where were you? And he's just like awkward.
Well, to his credit, like in his defense, he was probably fixing the Blackbird again, or the X-Jet, or what do they call it in this show.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
For the 17th time.
Yep. We do get the reveal from Emma that her nose is broken, like you mentioned previously. And that's where they start seeing all the MRD facilities have been hit. There's a giant diversion, and basically only the central facility remains. And they know it's going to lead to a war. Like, they just point blank call, like, this is starting a war right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the moment of the episode, like, this is, the more I talk about it, like, us saying, like, is this one of the top episodes of the season? I'm now getting more and more into it as we're talking it through. I was not expecting the Juggernaut to be a bomb.
Yeah, this was like a loud left field, because he also has no other function.
Yes. Literally, that's all he does. Well, he has two functions. He has the power to be absorbed later and to just be a...
Yeah.
Like,
but I don't think... Did he even talk? I can't remember.
No.
I don't think he talked. I think they just animated him in and out. Like,
yeah. Yeah. But I just love the idea of you drop him like it's not even a bomb because he doesn't explode. It's just like... It's like dropping a fucking anvil on something.
Yeah, he can't be stopped.
Yeah. But he goes all the way down through the MRD facility, gets to the bottom floor, picks up the contained mutant, rips the door off, and then you see that it's this girl, and he puts like this little tiny device on the back of her neck, which at that point I didn't have any clue what it was. I thought it was a tranquilizer, if anything.
That makes sense, yeah. But yeah, we find out later it's like the opposite, because we see that. Then that's when I connected what you're saying on the screen with the red monster and stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, now a kaiju's taking over the city.
Right, because her eyes flash. You go over to the Blackbird, which is on their way to the MRD, and then a fireball shoots at them. And I was like, is she shooting fireballs? Is that like her power? And then you find out that the fireball was just her launching the Juggernaut.
Yeah, and then everybody finds the Juggernaut, and they're like, this is a problem. Because they found the unstoppable Juggernaut stopped.
And then at this point, I still had no idea who the character was supposed to be. And the closest equivalent was Armor, who's one of the New Mutants. I know I've talked about her in the past, that she gets like encompassed in this giant red armor. But like it's never like a big kaiju design or anything like that. And also she's always a good guy, basically. So it didn't make sense that it would be Armor in this scenario. Also, it would have been really insensitive to do a race swap on the character, too.
Was she another ethnicity?
She's Japanese, so yeah, it would have been a little... Especially at the time, that would have not gone over well.
Yeah. So is this character... I know they say later that her name's Tildy. Does she have, like, a mutant name?
She does not have a mutant name, but she also debuted in Astonishing X-Men #1. Okay. In 2004, she had the ability to make these red monster demon things appear out of her nightmares, and it accidentally killed her parents. So I think this was the PG version of that, like that version, or that the way of doing that character is instead of something that like she's asleep and it happens and they're like little demons that kill parents, it's like big monster to not have it be so brutal, I guess.
That sounds like very close. I know it's a different power, but it sounds very close to, I can't remember her name. She was in that awful New Mutants movie. And then we also saw her in one of the shows we watched.
Danny Moonstar.
Yeah. I know that's like nightmares basically, right? But
yeah, I mean it's
the monster thing killing her parents kind of like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree that it has a similar power set to it. But you also got to remember, from a comic perspective, Danny debuted in the 80s in New Mutants #1, or what was it? Marvel Presents New Mutants. It wasn't even like it was a whole different format. And then this character would debut in the mid 2000s. So at that point, you were getting repeat power sets too. So, yeah. Yep. And then I put Godzilla fight, and lots of people die.
Yeah, but at the same time, they show an abandoned city, basically. Like, there's people there until the kaiju stomping around stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. But just, like, buildings getting ripped apart. Obviously, the X-Men kind of, like, go on crowd control and are, like, saving people and things like that. But, yeah, man, like, that was some collateral damage shit going on.
Emma tries to read the kaiju's mind, and she says there's too much static. So they're doing a lot of like, I feel like that one's a little less creative than the Rogue one.
The static part,
yeah, they're doing more like kind of nerfing. When you're saying people like saving people in the city, my favorite was Kitty freaking out that lady.
Oh yeah, because she like saved her, phased her as the car like bounced over her.
Yeah.
And then like the woman gets freaked out and like runs away. Yeah. Which honestly, I could see that. I would do that too.
Yeah, or just pass. I would probably pass out. Because you'd be like, what just happened?
Yeah, it's just like a total fainting moment.
I think I would have just assumed I was dead. Like if I saw a car coming at me and then I didn't feel anything and I was still standing there, I'm like, this is how it feels.
Nope.
Like,
yep. Logan like goes towards its chest, is able to see that there's like a girl inside, and then just the power coming from within it zaps him off. Emma is able to finally, like maybe from Wolverine cracking the armor is how I interpret it, is able to understand that it's Tilby, and that there whatever device is on her is what's causing her to lash out like this.
They don't go back to what that device is. It's just supposed to be a general like irritant or something.
Something that gives her nightmares is my assumption based on what I know about the power of the original character. But it's not very explicit. That one feels like, to your favorite word, it feels like a bit of a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Kitty.
Yeah.
Drag race going on in front of my house per usual. Kitty has like the most heroic moment of the episode, it felt like, where she's like, fuck this, I'm going, and starts phasing through. She thinks she's going to be able to get it, and then she charges up to it, and unfortunately just gets like zapped back from it. I
don't think issue is the right word for this, but there's this interesting thing here because this kind of goes into the next part. So they already had made specifically to like point out like Juggernaut the unstoppable Juggernaut can't stop this kaiju, and then Kitty can't phase through the kaiju, and then Rogue
does both
Kitty's powers and then sees Juggernaut, and this is the point where I was like, oh, so this is a really experienced Rogue at a different level than even the 92 Rogue, where she can control the power, like, because we knew 92 Rogue, when she got Storm's power, she's like freaking out and stuff, but this one she's like controlling them, and then she does both, and I was like, that's interesting, because my understanding of Rogue was always she had like a less controlled or experienced version of whoever she had like borrowed powers from. In this case, she got two, and then she was able to do both things that neither character could have done.
Yeah, I mean, the versions of Rogue that I've read over time, like as she is older, more experienced, and moves into like full-on leadership roles within the team and isn't just like one of the soldiers, her level of power control definitely increases. Like she absorbs part of Deadpool to absorb a nuclear blast at one point. Like, like there is a heightened level of control that she has as a character.
Yeah. So what she does here, she like stops a kaiju from stomping on the X-Men. So she like holds up his foot, and the X-Men are just standing there like, what the heck? And she's like, you might want to move. Like, yeah, man.
Yep.
Like,
yep. So she phases through the foot. Some combination of her strength plus Juggernaut plus Kitty is why she's able to. I also got the impression it's kind of like if you throw a nail at somebody from the side, the nail will bounce off of them. But if you step on the nail's going to go through your foot.
Oh, so essentially like Rogue was the Lego that the kaiju stepped on.
I'm using nail because of the piercing element, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like even like the strongest person will like be taken down by a Rogue Lego.
Dude, there's a great meme that's been floating around lately where it's a D4 die, so the one that's shaped like a pyramid, and it's like, oh, you stepped on a Lego. That's cute. This thing is literally like a caltrop going into your foot.
My only experience stepping on something that hurt when I was a kid in the late 80s, so like the first Tim Burton Batman, the Batmobile toy that came from that. Oh,
the one with the really sharp edges?
The fins.
Yeah.
My brother had that. And I stepped on
then
the
he
fin.
didn't.
Yeah, well, he still had it afterwards because I stepped on it, and that thing put a hole in my foot as a kid. So anyway, toys in the 80s were much more dangerous and fun.
It's true. Yeah. Outside of Boba Fett not being able to shoot his the spring-loaded missile, everything else was dangerous back then. So.
Yeah. Unless you got one of the limited ones, right?
Yeah, which are worth millions now.
Yeah, and you're not listening to this. You're like in your mansion.
If we have a millionaire and you would like to sponsor our podcast, please hit us up. So Rogue is able to kind of like float through, gets to the girl, pulls the piece off of her, and the girl Tildy wakes up and she's like, I can't stop it. And Rogue absorbs her power, which again, really to your point of you have to have an absurd amount of control to be able to contain what is going on from this girl's powers right now.
Yeah, it's not a screaming rogue like we were familiar with Lenore.
Yes, it is definitely a very different version of Rogue as a character. So, she absorbs her, and then they're on the ground, and she's holding on to the girl, and we're the X-Men. They give them like the heroic moment right before we go to dueling politician speeches to end the episode.
It's great writing. Senator Kelly giving a press conference and Magneto addressing Genosha.
Yep.
Militarizing Genosha wasn't on my bingo card for this, but that was interesting.
Also, we see for the first time in Evolution Polaris, because she was in the background next to Scarlet Witch, and I don't believe she was in that other Genoshan episode.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean Wolverine?
Or was she in Wolverine and the X-Men? And I fucked it up.
That's what we're watching right now, right?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Leave that one in. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I noticed that too. Scarlet Witch and Polaris were like right behind.
Yeah, because she was not in the tour episode or anything like that, right?
Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't remember her being in it.
I don't think so either.
I feel like they would have been way too overpowered to have both of Wolverine's daughters in that episode.
Right.
Like, Nightcrawler is cool, but he can't do shit against Magneto, Polaris, and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, there's like huge crowds on both, and then you get the... I don't think I had realized the Sentinel that was shown in like the second episode. That was the second episode with the Sentinel,
something
right?
Like that, yeah, with the crawler, right?
The one that looked like a scorpion. I had thought they had already had Sentinels out there, and this was no. Here's our first public reveal of an actual Sentinel.
Yeah, it makes sense not going back on it. Is like that was the prototype that like was like the beta model or something. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Is that how you do programming? Is beta? Yeah, beta, right? When
alpha, beta launch, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was the one that like failed, but yeah, now they have like the humanoid, like. I do like how confident they are about it, because it almost kind of gave me this like Titanic energy.
Oh, like it's so strong it can't fail?
Yeah, they're like, oh, this will level the playing field. I'm like, says who? Because that robot is very tall, but it looks like maybe 10 or 15 feet, right? And then maybe 20, I don't know.
I was going to say 20, 25, but
that kaiju was several stories. That
yes.
was literally like, I don't know, maybe the day before, or whenever the press conference happened or something.
It was the Sentinel was not as tall as the kaiju to that point. Yeah.
And that was only one example, let alone they have no idea. It's like, because there's mutants, but like they're not monolithic. So like you can't just say like this is going to be able to handle every power set that you just can't predict. Because then you also have a Storm out there, and then we don't know if these are Sentinels made of plastic yet or if they're metal. But then you have Magneto.
Well, I assume that they've got to be some sort of like compound or something like that, because especially with Kelly literally going toe to toe with Magneto recently, like in their like little pissing match, there's no way he's dumb enough to let it be a metal Sentinel.
I don't know. I tend to just kind of assume bigots are dumb. So, like, we don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I really can't argue with the logic on that. So,
but he still might be prepared. We'll see in the I guess maybe not this next episode, but like in an upcoming episode.
Yeah. And then we end the episode trying to give us a high note. It felt like, where Wolverine is talking in the head space scape, whatever the fuck you're gonna call it. Yeah. With future Xavier, and points out Kelly got what he wanted. We didn't succeed. And this feels like the nicest this version of Xavier has been in this series, because he was like, nah, you still did the impossible. You brought the X-Men back. Meanwhile, Angel and Nightcrawler still missing. Nobody has questioned where Nightcrawler is.
See, it's
easily been weeks since Nightcrawler has like done a check-in.
So this is where I wish Alison Seeley Smith's Storm would walk in and be like, yes, you did lose. For all of us, we're together and losing this battle.
But it's also the moment of like, well, the school is back, which is fully repaired, despite the fact that Cyclops the previous night had blasted a massive hole through the room that got taken out with an avalanche. Yeah,
there's a big fight and everything. Yeah, and like Emma's face in the column.
It's implanted in there.
Yeah. Or they just kept it.
Yeah. And, you see Tildy, like with a butterfly going by her and, like, that feel-good moment. But I'm like, no, I'm with Logan on this one. This doesn't feel like a cheery moment for me. So,
yeah.
No. So, that is the episode. And, like I said, as we talked about it, I started digging it more and more. I already liked it, but it was like, oh, yeah, no, this is why I buy the comics too, you know?
Yeah, because it's a story, and there was stakes, and to the limits of like children's television, it felt like they got violent, like we said, almost surprisingly so a couple times.
I am almost disappointed by the next episode. Not because it's a bad episode, but I want to see this storyline's next point, and we don't get that at all in the next episode.
I'm kind of... Now that I know I just said, like, we'll see in upcoming episodes how the Sentinels are, now I'm kind of wondering if we are, because I've forgotten that there's no next season, and they're not going sequentially, because the episode before this one, it left on the cliffhanger of Jean Grey being found.
Yes.
And so we didn't continue that here. So we don't know like what durations there are to come back to previous storylines.
Well, we're at the halfway mark right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we're at the halfway mark of this show.
Yeah, this crossed the halfway mark, so.
And I do know, because of thumbnails, a couple of storylines come back.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've seen anything about the Sentinels yet, so I don't know that for a fact. But like this too, like, it's like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that part makes me nervous, man, because like I said, I'm digging this, but the fact that people have said this is more of a cliffhanger than Evolution, I'm like, oh, shit.
Right.
Like, you're going to leave me feeling unfulfilled on this thing. Like, all those posts where it's like, oh, do another season of Evolution. It's like, Evolution could have gone for another season, but it didn't, like, get hung out to dry. This, I'm genuinely like, oh, they're going to leave us with, like, a hanging story that is going to have zero resolution on it, you know?
Great.
It would be like if 97 was like, and it's one season. Oh, they're in the past in fucking Egypt, and that's how it ends.
Right.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I liked everything I kind of mentioned all throughout that. Some funny moments. We feel like I'm going to err on the side of like Rogue being very developed instead of like inconsistent. So we'll see if we see her more. How
Aside from Rogue making her change of clothes when she was running from the Brotherhood Tower to the mansion,
I'll still chalk that up to she's very fast, or we just saw a different duration.
I legit took it as she ran from there and made it to the mansion in about 4 minutes. So.
We don't know. She probably stopped by that coffee shop that keeps getting terrorized in the show.
That poor coffee shop.
Right. We'll talk about that next episode.
Which is a different coffee shop in that episode.
Is it? Okay.
Geography. But thank you guys for joining us. If you have any thoughts, make sure to drop them into the comments for either the YouTube upload or the official Instagram post about this episode, or the Spotify comments, which I keep forgetting to add to the script. And if you like what you heard, we appreciate a rating on the podcast app of your choosing. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and CastBox. And make sure to watch the video version because there's a cat.
Yeah. Respect your napping. Super cute.